You know that feeling, right? Constantly playing catch up. The to-do list just never seems to shrink. Maybe lesson plans feel like they're breeding overnight.
Hmm.
If you're anywhere near the world of ESL teaching, or maybe you're just, curious about it, that pressure, never having enough time, it probably sounds pretty familiar.
Oh, absolutely. It's such a complex job. You need the language skills, sure, but also that deep cultural understanding, creativity, plus all the essential admin stuff behind the scenes. It's a lot.
And that's why we're back. We wanted to continue our chat, really. Think of this as part two of exploring what really makes things tough for ESL teachers.
Yeah, let's do part two.
And we're not just guessing here. We're really digging into what teachers themselves are saying, their biggest frustrations, what they actually wish they had, the emotional side of it all.
Exactly. We've pulled from things like that ESL teacher pain points and Bridge AI Solutions document, and also, those really honest conversations you see on places like Reddit.
Right. So we've kind of gone through all that to zero in on the core challenges.
Hmm. And the goal isn't just like a list of complaints. We want to understand the why. What are the real roadblocks for ESL teachers and what kind of support, what kind of solutions are they actually looking for?
Okay, so let's get into it. Last time we talked, one thing just kept coming up again and again, how much time lesson planning eats up.
Yeah.
And looking at the sources again, yeah, it's still a massive issue. Like
Okay.
38% of teachers flagged it as a top problem. And the emotion tied to it, really high, like an 8.2 out of 10.
Those numbers really tell a story, don't they? It's not just, a little annoying. It's clearly a major source of stress, ongoing stress.
Totally. We saw quotes that just hit home, like, I spend 3 hours nightly just to keep up. I'm exhausted.
Oh.
And my weekends are gone because of lesson prep. You really feel the personal cost there.
Yeah, that sacrifice.
And the data, it shows teachers are spending almost a full work week every month just planning manually time that's, not spent with students.
And look, the tools they use now, Canva, Google Docs, teachers they help, sort of, but often they feel like Band-Aids, right? They might speed up one little bit, but they don't fix the core problem. There's no real integrated automated system. It's still a lot of piecing things together manually.
Exactly. The info we looked at points to, like 30 plus hours a month just building plans by hand. It's that feeling teachers described, like they're constantly reinventing the wheel. It sounds exhausting.
It really does. And the emotions driving that you mentioned, frustration,
Oh.
anger even, and how inefficient it is.
Yeah, and anxiety too. Like, are my students falling behind if I don't spend all this time? And just sadness about losing their own personal time.
So the key takeaway here, I think, is that teachers aren't just asking for things to be a tiny bit faster. They need, well, maybe a time reclamation tool, something that actually automates the repetitive stuff,
Yeah.
goes beyond just tweaking the manual process.
Right. Okay. So that massive time sink is still front and center. But let's move on because the sources highlighted another really big challenge, finding culturally relevant materials.
Ah, yes. This one's critical.
It came up a lot too, about 22% frequency, and the emotion around it was also high, like 7.8.
And it's so important because learning a language isn't just um, vocab lists and grammar drills, is it?
No.
It's all tied up in culture.
Yeah.
So if the materials don't connect with the student's background, it can actually, push them away,
Wow.
make it harder to learn. It's that whole idea of culturally responsive teaching, basically.
We saw some powerful quotes here too, like, my Vietnamese students don't relate to Western role plays.
Makes sense.
And another teacher saying, generic worksheets, disengaged class. It's just obvious that one size fits all doesn't work.
And yeah, there are resources like ESL Library or teachers spend ages making their own stuff. But the problem is these things often aren't very adaptable, culturally speaking. They don't easily flex for all the different backgrounds in one classroom. So the teacher feels kind of unprepared, always having to translate or explain the cultural context themselves.
Yeah, constantly bridging that gap.
Imagine if you could just tell a system, okay, my students are primarily from this cultural background, and it adjusts examples, role plays, maybe even flags potential cultural points to be aware of.
Oh, that would be amazing. There was that one story in the sources, remember, about the Vietnamese students who thought a dialogue about a ski vacation was just funny and weird.
Yes, that's a perfect example. It really shows how something totally normal in one culture can just, poof, completely miss the mark somewhere else. Creates a disconnect.
Definitely. So the message seems really clear. Teachers need some kind of culture adapt feature.
Exactly. Like preset templates you can easily tweak for different cultures. Ways to add local sayings or customs. Basically, ESL without the cultural baggage, making it actually mean something to the students.
Okay, shifting gears a bit. There's another pain point that maybe wasn't as frequent, about 12%, but wow, the emotional intensity was super high, like 9.1. We're talking about burnout from repetitive tasks.
Yeah, that 9.1 is striking. It really tells you that even if fewer teachers name this as their number one issue, when it hits hard.
Definitely.
It's that deep frustration, feeling like your actual teaching skills are just being swallowed by, admin tasks.
The comments were intense. Things like, I'm quitting ESL because of the admin nightmare.
Mm,
And that question, why am I rebuilding the same flashcards every term? You can just feel the exasperation, that feeling of being stuck.
totally. Feeling less like a teacher and more like I don't know, a paperwork robot.
Yeah. And this isn't just grumbling. The sources suggested this kind of burnout is a major reason teachers leave. Like
Oh.
76% in some Reddit threads were thinking about quitting ESL altogether because of it.
76%.
Wow.
That's a retention killer right there. And obviously the coping mechanisms mentioned more coffee, venting online. They're not real solutions, are they?
Not sustainable, no.
Not at all. What teachers need is a real change in how those repetitive tasks get handled. So the takeaway here has to be positioning solutions as a burnout antidote.
I like that.
Yeah, automating grading where possible, having templates for common things that are easy to reuse, maybe one-click flashcard creation. It's about freeing up their time and, just as importantly, their mental energy so they can actually focus on teaching.
Makes total sense. Okay, finally, let's touch on a secondary pain point, but still a real challenge. Student engagement struggles.
Ah, yes, the eternal quest.
This one came in around 18% frequency, emotion score about 6.5. So still significant.
And keeping students hooked, especially now with all the digital distractions, it's a constant battle for any teacher, really. Traditional methods sometimes just don't cut it anymore.
We heard things like Gen Z students tune out traditional worksheets.
Yep, heard that before.
And that very direct question, how do I make grammar fun? Teachers are definitely looking for ways to grab and hold attention.
And they need more than just ideas on a blog post, right? They want something they can actually use, like plug-and-play engagement, stuff they can drop into a lesson without hours of extra prep.
Yeah, it was interesting that tools like Kahoot or Quizlet came up, but the drawback mentioned was always the setup time. The teacher still has to put in a lot of effort.
Exactly. So those tools help, but they don't solve the core need for ready-to-go engaging activities. And you see the emotion here, too, that feeling of disappointment, maybe even shame, when students are zoning out, contrasted with that absolute joy when a lesson really clicks and the students are buzzing.
So what this points to is needing something like, the sources called it an engagement engine.
I like that term, too.
Yeah. Imagine AI creating interactive games, maybe realistic role-play simulations, perhaps even, I don't know, using current internet trends in a smart way to make learning feel relevant.
The goal being to make lessons genuinely captivating. Like you said earlier, turning them into little dopamine hits of learning.
Exactly. Now, stepping back from these specific points, it's crucial to remember why this matters to you listening. These struggles ESL teachers face, they directly affect the education students get.
And the well-being of the teachers themselves, of course. Understanding just how deep and wide these challenges run, that's a real aha moment, I think.
For sure. And when you look at the big picture, some strategies really start to stand out, don't they? Like positioning any potential help as a tool for teacher well-being seems vital. Prioritizing that culture adapt feature we talked about feels like a must.
Definitely. And focusing the messaging on the emotional relief, not just the practical benefits. Plus, building a strong community for support.
Yeah. And the common theme running through all of this, it feels like teachers are just trapped by inefficiency.
That sums it up pretty well. They're looking for ways to break free from the drudgery, really. Tools that let them get back to the core of why they started teaching and connecting with students.
So just to quickly recap our deep dive today, we revisited that huge time burden of lesson planning.
Yeah.
The absolute need for culturally relevant materials.
Crucial.
How repetitive tasks fuel burnout.
A major retention issue.
And that constant challenge of keeping students engaged.
Right. And the main takeaway is that ESL teachers need more than just small tweaks. They're looking for fundamental changes, real support that helps them connect better with all their students, and honestly, rediscover their passion for teaching.
Which leads us to a final thought, maybe something for you to chew on. When you consider all these really deep-rooted challenges teachers are facing, what kind of innovation, what kind of support system do you think could truly transform the game for them?
And, by extension, for their students, too, in the long run.
Yeah. Thinking beyond just fixing the immediate problems, what could create real, lasting positive change?
It's a big question, definitely complex area, but also one with, I think, huge potential for creating solutions that could make a massive difference.
Mm.
We'll definitely keep exploring this.